Thank God you're not my brother.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Indian gets together a bunch of agents on a quarterly basis. We met there. Turned out we were neighbors. So that was a common talking point. And then we ran into, we ran into each other at the IBNO golf outing too.
We did.
And we ended up sitting at the same table. And I think at that point you were like, I'm going to retire at some point. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, give me a call at the time. You're like, okay. And so it was through industry stuff that we met and had common interest. And well, Michael's got a background in motorsports and I love motorsports. And it turns out we live about 2.5 miles away from each other. So that was a common point. And we were both using Indian.
And when I mentioned the motorsports business to Seth at one of those meetings, his ears perked up. So I knew at that point, I might have someone here that might be interested in buying my business. When I spoke to Seth about my agency, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm getting up there, and maybe I'm going to want to think about retiring. I've had some other agents, and I have a family member who's in the insurance business, a relative of my wife who works with me. The relationship I have with that agent versus the relationship that I was growing with Seth, it just made more sense. I actually get, sometimes getting along with your family is harder than getting along with someone you don't. That's not your family. So,
from the buyer side, it's all about, do you like this person? I have found that the customers are exactly like the agency principals. So if the agency principal's uptight or wearing 3-piece suits, chances are that the customers are as well. Michael, Laura, relaxed, casual. I could tell that it would be a good fit for that, and that their customers would align with our customers. And there's no science to that, but it's absolutely true that the customers really follow that. So I've spoken to agents over the years that I just didn't feel like they would be a good fit and have walked away from that. Michael, very comfortable, newest stuff, expertise driven, highly committed. It just, it made a ton of sense. It was just like, that's going to be a business that's going to make sense for us and how we do business long term. I was driving down 87 near our house, and Michael called me in the morning. He's like, okay, this makes sense. What do we do now? And I said, let's get informed on this. You should be informed. I don't want to just start throwing out numbers, and I don't want it to become emotional, which often happens. I think agents start in the wrong place. So working with the OIA, I was aware of their valuation efforts that they've been making. So I said, listen, let's get an objective third party to just inform you. That's where we need to start. And I've used other valuation firms in the past, and I don't necessarily think they were objective. I think they use a lot of trend stuff driven by numbers that aren't relevant to agencies our size. Oftentimes I think they're funded by organizations that have ulterior motives, and so I was very comfortable with the OIA being an objective third party that could look at the facts. So connected Michael with the folks down that department. I think like 3 or 4 weeks later, he calls me up and says, I've got a valuation, let's talk about it. Came out, sat down on the conference room table in their office, and about 45 minutes later we shook hands on it. So
the process was very easy. I had to put together a large amount of information: sales, payrolls, losses, income taxes. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff, which I would expect to put out to have a valuation that's valuable and that's accurate. But it's all stuff that we have available in the office. It's busy work, it's paperwork. We put it together, call the accountant, get this, get that, send it off, and one call, maybe 2 calls for explanation of one number or another number, or a question about the motorsports or the personal and commercial percentages. It was very easy. The office in Columbus was very quick to answer to ask the questions, to put together the paperwork, get a nice, colorful, with charts. I love charts. Nice, colorful charts showing the percentage of the business.
I think what was interesting about it, and I remember sitting at your conference room table, if we were apart on anything, high or low, we had that document sitting between us, and we could just refer back to it. It's interesting. We ended up the deal actually was more than the valuation. And I remember that conversation.
I'm a good salesman.
Well, and I'm pretty good too. So Michael wanted a price, and in exchange for that price, he was willing to offer me better terms. And because we had that kind of neutral third party sitting in the middle, we could say, okay, this is what it's worth. If you need a little more, then I need a little bit of help. And so Michael got what he wanted, and I got the structure that allowed me to make the deal workable. And having that document as a reference point was really important getting that done.